The Only Murders in the Building Season 5 finale has just landed, and the mystery around who killed Lester and whose finger was in the shrimp way back during the season premiere has now been answered. After 10 weeks of searching for clues, theorizing about who it could be, and trying to piece together the murder suspect, we've now got our answer. With the Arconia on the brink of being destroyed in place of Camilla's casino, this season finale saw not only the case looking to be solved, but the fate of the building being thrown into question too. So with that, let's discuss the ending of the episode and look at how the show sets up what could be a strong season 6. Here is Only Murders in the Building Season 5 Episode 10 Ending Explained. Just to let you know, this video will contain spoilers. Who killed Lester and the identity of the finger? Well, it turned out that the person whose finger it was actually the person that ended up being responsible for killing Lester. During a secret meeting that was put together by Charles, Oliver and Mabel with the hopes of threatening the billionaire trio in order to get information out of them one final time before the building got demolished for the casino, the mayor unexpectedly walked in, showing that he'd been there several times before and that the secret casino wasn't a shock to him. This was where all of the dots then joined together for Mabel. Moments before Lester died, he texted his wife saying, "It's beautiful." But in reality, what he meant to message was, "It's Beau Tillman," the name of the mayor, but autocorrect changed the words in the message. So in Lester's final moments, he thought he did the right thing, but was let down by technology. In my mind, this is something that kind of ties back to Lester being from old New York and the new being something that wasn't even there for him when he needed it most, showing that he just couldn't function in this new world. Lester was killed by Beau Tillman because Lester took his finger and was keeping it as evidence so that Beau could be implicated with the dodgy dealings that were taking place in the secret casino, and to highlight that there was bribing that was going on by the billionaires to the mayor in order to give them what they wanted. Lester planned on leaking it to the press and also going to the authorities. What went against the mayor though was that he was the person that was having an affair with Sofia Cacciamilio, and Nikki knew about it, hence why he was in a disheveled state. Nikki was the person that chopped off the mayor's finger and caused all of the chaos because he was angry with him. This was what then caused Lester to speak up and confront Nikki and tell him that he'd had enough of being trapped by him and not being able to retire inside of the Arconia with his wife like he always dreamed of. Lester had made notes of all of the dodgy things that had been going on and was planning on releasing it, but an intoxicated Nikki ended up falling into Lester, who was holding the cleaver, and ended up being killed by mistake, thus making Lester a murderer. With Lester taking the finger, running, and putting it on the shrimp, which one would imagine Lester did because he knew that it would most likely end up in front of the trio and they'd then be able to look to solve the case. The mayor chased after Lester all the way through the courtyard carefree because he knew that Bash owned the cameras and could do what he wanted to the footage, and from there he pushed Lester into the fountain and caused him to die. Lester deliberately led the mayor out there because he knew that the secret cameras that himself and Vince set up were out there, which Bash didn't have control of, and in his final breath he used it to blow on his bird whistle so that the camera would be triggered, allowing the group to get an all-important clue. So the murderer was the mayor, the finger belonged to the mayor. Sofia's mother took the finger because Sofia sold it so that she could secure her family's future following Nikki's death, and Nikki was killed by Lester by mistake. The ending explained. When it came to the ending of the episode, we saw that the mayor was ultimately caught due to the press conference that was taking place inside of the Arconia because Camilla was going to announce that it was going to be destroyed, with Mabel, Charles and Oliver all being contained in the secret room inside of the casino. They were trapped and the mayor quite literally wanted them to be destroyed with the building, making them the last murders in the building. With their phones being destroyed, Miller found them down the garbage chute, and Thee then appeared and said how she was going to do a secret set downstairs so the press would be closer to them and they'd be able to get behind the closed door with the corrupt officers. With Charles finding out that he was in the placebo group of his extra testosterone trial that he had, something that highlighted that he had plenty, he then had the confidence to climb up the pole so that they could get a clothes hanger and ultimately make their way out of the chains. With everybody inside of the casino, including the mayor, once the trio broke free, they revealed the secret recording device that was in the secret compartment under the roulette table, and it was here where all of the mayor's crimes were then revealed. We also found out that the billionaires were so interested in finding the missing finger because the mayor had essentially promised them that whoever found it would be able to get the Arconia, and they could do what they wanted to it. With the mayor arrested, Camilla was still set to demolish the building, but Jay Fluke had a change of heart and revealed to the police all of their involvement in concealing Nikki's body and being fully aware of the crimes that were taking place inside of the Arconia on a regular basis, even bribing the mayor to get what they wanted. He revealed how they all moved Nikki's body, and to stop the police getting suspicious that both murders were connected, they froze Nikki's body in Bash's cryo chamber that he had, which we saw in the background throughout a lot of episode 6. 3 months later, we saw that Sophia was now in Italy living her best life. Nonna had just died, and Lorraine was now living inside of the Arconia like herself and Lester had always dreamed of doing. She also revealed a bag full of money from Sophia because she wanted to look out for her as she was also a widow. The final thing that we saw occurring in this finale was the perfect setup for the 6th season of the show. The group had gathered round to listen to the most recent episode of Cinda Canning's true crime podcast almost 5 years to the date that the trio first got together. We heard of a case called The Girl with the Curls, which was about a woman that was accused of killing a descendant of royalty, but Cinda thought that she was innocent and had nothing to do with it. As the podcast was playing out, we saw this girl with the curls running through New York City and making her way towards the Arconia. There was a bloodstain on her hands and she collapsed and died right outside of the gate of the Arconia, with just her hand going through the gate, meaning that the trio are going to be able to dive right into the case when the show returns for season 6. I'm thinking we're most likely going to get the trio heading over to the UK for the next season, which is something that'll definitely make for some interesting viewing. Oliver roaming around London and being all excited is something that I'm definitely intrigued to see. My review of the season. If I'm being honest, I thought the finale was probably one of the better episodes of the season, but I would say in recent years it was the worst season of Only Murders in the Building. The fact that it was revealed to be the mayor didn't really hit me in the gut with the shocking reveal that I wanted it to have, and I think that's a shame. The mayor was barely in it, so there wasn't enough in front of us to truly piece it together and feel like the answer was there the whole time, which I thought was a shame. I also thought some of the moments in this episode that pieced it together, such as Miller finding the 3 phones and instantly knowing that they were Charles, Mabel and Oliver's, just felt a bit far-fetched. How would he know when they're quite literally smashed to pieces? I also thought the ending of Jay confessing to Mabel and it seeming like Mabel forgave him to a degree was a bit stupid. Jay was involved in concealing the death of the doorman, somebody that Mabel cared about a lot, and it was as if she didn't think about that in the slightest in that moment. Camilla's reaction to Nikki's death was something that also didn't make sense either. A couple of episodes back, we established that she cared about him deeply, and then when he dropped dead in front of her, she didn't bat an eyelid. It just felt a bit ridiculous. Lester the robot is also a character that I just feel wasn't needed in the show at all. I understand it was all about showing new compared to old, but within reality, a robot like Lester doesn't actually exist, so it made the show just feel a bit more ridiculous than usual. The fact Lester didn't truly have anything to do with the reveal either just made it seem even more pointless. It's sad to say, but if the show continues on like this, then I think it's had its day. I want less of the ridiculous and more of the serious, and I don't mean that in the way that the characters are performed, as I always know that this show is going to be dramatic and over the top. That's what makes it good. But the writing in this season just felt a bit all over the place, from Charles's character being really inconsistent in tone to the reveal not feeling that intelligent, and then certain characters being introduced and thrown to the side. This season just didn't quite do it for me. Yes, the finale was probably one of the stronger episodes, but this season peaked in episode 2 for me. Episode 2 is almost the perfect episode of OMITB because it's creative, thought-provoking, entertaining, and performed so well. Season 6 has the potential to take the show right back to its roots, especially with the case seeming like a real interesting one, and it may be taking place on both sides of the pond, which could make it even more fun, so I'm holding out for it. What did you think of Season 5? Do you think the show's gone in a slightly different direction and has lost some of its quality? Share your thoughts in the comments. As always, thanks for tuning into the video and I'll see you in the next one.